Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Elevate Ministries. Elevate Ministries is an authentic, passionate, and innovative church in the heart of Orange County, California. They strive to make their services welcoming and encouraging by intentionally engaging you in all senses to stimulate a spiritual hunger. If you're looking for a great church that's on a mission to change the world one person at a time, I encourage you to check them out at www.elevateministries.com and on Instagram at Elevate Ministries. Secondly, this podcast is also brought to you by the good people at Hope and Promises. The director of Hope and Promises, my brother-in-law, Art Pena, started this nonprofit with a simple goal to provide food, water, and supplies to those in need through local outreaches and local food pantries. Internationally, Hope and Promises has completed humanitarian work in El Salvador, Mexico, and Honduras. Consider donating to Hope and Promises today by visiting their website at www.hopeandpromises.com and on Instagram at Hope and Promises. Let's do this.
Street gospel, light up the tempo. Sword swing, killer live from the ghetto. The hood messenger, let them know hell's close. Black burial, the devil in a black cloak.
Yo, what is up? Welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast. I'm your host, Dave One, and this is episode number... Yo, Cam, what episode is this? 46. Episode number 46. If you caught our last episode, it was with the talented Letitia Wood. Definitely was a good episode, so if you missed it, be sure to check it out. We've been busy. We've been getting some guests in. We have a special bonus episode going to be out next week. So we've just been staying busy, right, Cam? So luckily, Cam's been around. Usually he's out and about, and busy and doing things. And I don't know how much longer I can keep paying this guy. But we'll see where that goes.
You got to take care of your employees, man.
Right? So you might have heard that voice. We have a good guest today, man. Definitely somebody I got referred to him by. So, I like to play a little bit of a banger to introduce my guest. This guy right here is Southeast LA native, right? I mean, it's really Southeast LA. We'll get into that. He's a believer, a father, a husband. I think a good term for him will be a community organizer. He is the brains and muscle behind Project Coffee Cup, and we'll get into that. An artist. I almost forgot that, but the guy is an artist, so we're going to talk about that. But I would like to welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast, Mr. Jacob Baruch.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for having me, bro.
Did I say the name right?
Yeah, you nailed it.
So I was a little worried about that, man.
Yeah, you know what? Growing up in school, everyone always butchered it.
Really?
Yeah, I got so used to it. I let it slide.
Dope, man. Hey, I appreciate you coming out, man.
Man, thank you for having me. What'd you think about the coffee?
The coffee was great. I loved it. I mean, you're the first guest that ever showed up with something.
Really?
In 46 episodes.
Oh, wow.
We've never had a guest that came and showed up and brought something. So you showing up and bringing something, I thought that was pretty dope, man. I mean, you really with the staff here and everything, you're like our number one guest so far. Definitely, man. So what's up, man? What you up to?
Man, just thank you for having me. Just got off work, but the reason I did that, man, is I want to thank you guys for having me, because the whole reason I was like really. I heard so much about you too, so I was honored when I got invited. But it gives me an opportunity to share about the organization, and like me bringing the coffee, and I saw your son. It was like, for real, man. Thank you. That's the impression I want to give on the streets, bro.
Dope.
Like giving back, literally.
Right.
But, it doesn't have to be an event. Just like pay it forward some way or another, and that was my way of showing gratitude for having me.
So, where did that attitude come from? Were you always generous? Are you a giver? Because or did you learn that? Because sometimes it's just naturally in people. Like if Cam, he's a sharer since he's a kid. Like he'll go out of his way. Cash, a little bit different.
Yeah,
she's a giver now, but she'll go out of her way for you too. But a little bit different. So did you learn that? Or
I think I developed that from life experiences, growing up in the struggle, there's, we can get into the background and stuff. But I think as time gone on, as I got older, I've learned to be more like free to give without judgment. You know what I'm saying? I could have came here and not and like just thank you for, but like, man,
and we would have been fine with that.
Yeah, you would have been fine. You didn't ask for any of that stuff, and I wasn't doing that to like,
no,
to win any brownie points and stuff. But like when you're just so grateful for life, you be going through some stuff, and you have a different perspective. Man, you just want to be a blessing everywhere you go.
Right, that's dope, man. Definitely appreciate that, man. So I mentioned that you grew up in Southeast LA. I mean, we call it Southeast. Did you call it Southeast?
No, I called it Compton.
You just call it, yeah. Okay, that's funny, right? So me and my friend have this thing where if you're from Southeast, you say Southeast. If you're from East LA, you're from East LA. But if you're from Boyle Heights, you don't call it East LA. You say you're from Boyle Heights.
Yeah.
My other friends say, if you're from Compton, you're from Compton. And Inglewood. They don't include that in that little Southeast area. It's like the name of the city is the name of the city, and that's where I'm from.
I feel that it's like its own culture, different, bro. Like
it is.
I went to school my whole life in North Long Beach. My entire family's from Compton. We don't claim LA. He's like, no, he's from Compton.
Right. Well, yeah, I think it has a name. Like I'm from Bell, Cudahy, born in Maywood. So those cities are super small. Mm-hmm. To this day, I had a guest that came in and he never heard of Cudahy, and I was like, bro, you never heard of Cudahy? He's like, I've never heard of that. And when somebody told me, and I was like, where the heck is that at? And so I always said, we're from Southeast. We're from Southeast LA, south of East LA. It's not South Central. We live on this side of the tracks.
I have a grandma. My grandma always lived in Linwood. Linwood and Southgate.
Yeah.
So I've heard Cudahy by passing by, but yeah, like you could just from where I come from, like if I need to go to LA, I just hop on the 710. I'm running through right by Cudahy, so you don't stop.
Yeah, you go past Florence and Atlantic and all that stuff. You just keep Slauson, you just keep going. Yeah. But yeah,
Compton, man. I grew up in like North Long Beach, Compton area. Went to Long Beach Jordan High School, and our background and our story, that's where we blossomed from. Is that community right there? Right there. Yeah, the gangs, the culture, the hip hop, the tattoos, the barrios, all that.
It is a totally different culture. I would go into Compton only for the famous fashion center.
The swap meet.
The swap meet. Yeah, I wanted to make it sound fancier, but bougie. Compton Fashion Center. But for everybody that knows, that's the Compton swap meet. We went there. Things were cheap. It was the best swap meet around. Yeah. One of the first, probably the first indoor swap meet that I could remember as a kid. But that was the spot to go and get stuff for a little bit cheaper than the stores.
You get all your bootlegs. Yeah. And they also sold a lot of like Chicano rap tapes
all the time.
That's where you could find. If you were looking for Chicano rap artists or on the come up, go to the Compton swap meet.
I think I was an aspiring rapper when I was a kid, and my dad would buy me instrumentals from the Compton swap meet, and then he would they're on albums. Then he would take them and then record them to tapes and give them to me so I can rap over whatever beat that was. But mixtapes too. See, these young people don't know what the mixtape is. They kind of know, but not. It's not like what it is now.
Nah.
Yeah, it's a tape. We know that, but it was different. You get the mixtapes. It would actually be like a swap meet DJ, and he would mix the songs his way, and then he would sell them like that. It was dope.
Hot. Yeah, it was dope, man. You can get them out of the trunk there too at the Compton swap meet. Indoor or at the side of the trunk.
So how did you not get caught up in the neighborhood life? I mean, I think it's an important aspect because there's a lot of kids that say that's their excuse, right? They say, "Wow, look at my environment," and it is a pretty good excuse. I'm sure you could talk about that with the project you have. But how did you not get caught up in that life?
Growing up, my dad was, a gang member. And I kind of felt like our family, my cousins that were all my age, without being like jumped in, so to speak.
Right.
They wouldn't let us. But it was like, if you're part of that family, you're going to get it too. Because we were just the kids of these like rebellious 80s, 70s babies.
You're inherited.
You inherited, but to be honest, my dad, he was a user, he's drugs and stuff. But we made the best of life, what we had, and I think that's what kind of like also being family oriented, where I wasn't drawn into it. We were just bad kids, you know. But I didn't have to claim anything but our last name, you know. And then sports too kept me out of. It was like Baruch because I was in baseball, I was in football. Since I was 5 years old, so I think that is an important aspect that really is a factor on why I didn't go to the streets like that.
Right.
And a lot of my energy and my time was put into sports and stuff. So the only banging we did was like, oh, you're a Rams fan? I'm a Raider fan. You know?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
And we know who won that. The Raiders fans won. Back up, everybody. I don't want to hear all you Rams fans. But yeah, you're right. Because when you're an athlete and you grow up in the neighborhood, or even an artist, you got something going on. A lot of neighborhood guys kind of respect that and kind of shy away from you and like, hey, leave that kid alone.
Yeah, do your thing. Like, do that to you. You know, this isn't your life. And, you know, it was weird because, like I said, I come over a family with, like, Sherm, you know, like PCP and high and stuff, and they would hide it from us. Well, we knew the smell, we knew what it was, and we knew, like, dad's on one. You know what I mean?
Did you have a big family?
Yeah, I have a pretty big. My Baruch family's pretty big. My mom's like the Lopez family, so you knew if you were from Compton, you knew the Baruch family. You know, all the uncles, you know, were out there active. So was my mom's side. My mom was from the hood too. My mom was Chola,
all Chola out or what?
Man, have you ever watched The Duke of Roe?
I've watched that movie.
She could have been in the script movie. Though.
Really?
The makeup, the whole.
You know what's funny about that, bro? Is my mom sent me a picture, and it was her and her homegirls. They're all believers, Christians for years now. Actually, one is it? It's my Nina. So it's my mom, my Nina, and one of their best friends, and she's a pastor's wife now, right? And I said, that's a cool picture, Mom. And then I asked my sister or one of them, do you have a picture of Mom? There was a picture when they were in the neighborhood. Same picture, right? Like, they're probably like 17, 18 years old. All gangster, cholad out, right? Makeup and everything. Not really too crazy. But I sent that picture to Veteranos and Rucas.
Did they post it?
They posted it.
Nice.
So they posted both. It was so cool because they were in the same. They were in the same. Positioning on both pictures, and it was so cool. So I told my mom, I asked people on my Instagram, like, should I send this to Veteranos Rucas? And everybody's like, yeah. So I said it, and that woman that runs that, she posted it, bro.
Nice.
It was dope.
You know, like, I've gotten tagged on there because, like, my dad or my uncles have been posting when they like, you know, show that their neighborhood or whatever. But it's funny because if you follow me on Instagram, Project Coffee Cup, there's my.
There you go.
Little plug. But if you follow me on there, I've been posting pictures of my mom that I've been finding because my mom passed away in 2017. So now I could post it because before she would have killed me. So now, like, boop, post upload.
Yeah, I don't think my mom was too happy about that. I think my Nina, because she's still a gangster, I think she liked it. And then, like, her nieces and stuff were like, that's my Nina Kathy. I shouldn't have said her name. That's my Nina Kathy out there, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's my Nina right there." So it was definitely dope, man.
Right on. You know, but back to, like, growing up in that neighborhood, like, we struggled a lot because of my dad's, like, addiction and his affiliation, his drug use and stuff. So a lot of what I do, we'll get into that. It comes from the hardship, like, because of that, and where we're at as we got older. My parents became ministers. You know, with their encounters with God and how God, like, really, really turned their life around. And a lot of what I do is because it's from a heart of gratitude of what He did in our life.
Wow. Well, how did your family come to the Lord?
So,
because what you're saying is that they were known in the neighborhood. So a family like that in the neighborhood to actually turn it around is pretty powerful.
Well, to kind of, like, sum it up, it's a long, powerful story, but, you know, we experienced, like, no peace in our house, like chaos, right? You know, just everything from the substance abuse and, you know, a lawless house, you know?
Right.
But there was a brother from my dad's neighborhood who was older that had gotten saved. Like, you know, he, according to him and his story and the stories I hear about him, like, God delivered him from, you know, the life and drug abuse. So he would always drop in on us at our worst times, you know. So it's so funny. I always share this story. My dad would be loaded and stuff, and this guy's name is Eddie. He would come and look for my dad, and my dad would, like, tell him I'm not here. And we would, like, go to the door, like, my dad said he ain't here. All right, tell him I dropped by. So he would always drop in on us, and he never judged us. So he was the dude that was from the neighborhood that, you know, God delivered him, and so he would always come back to the neighborhood.
That's dope.
So
that sounds like my dad. My dad was that guy. He would go back and knock on dudes' doors, send them flyers in the mail. Just get their address and send them flyers in the mail and invite them.
But man, like, so the guy's name was Eddie, and he was dropping all the time. Like I said, like on our worst, when there was fighting in the house and it was like drama, to when he was loaded and having fun and there was parties. Eddie would always just drop by. He was never like preachy. He would always just wanted to drop by.
Yeah.
But little did we know that whole time he was just like watering that seed, like breaking that heart. So my dad shares a story about how he was done. He was sick and tired of being sick and tired. My mom was going to leave him. He was tired of the life. He was tired of, the abuse, of the substance abuse. And he says he had a God encounter in his car right before he was about to commit suicide and just end it. The Lord visited him, and he had an encounter. The first person he caught was that guy Eddie, who would always. So when I go out there to the streets, I take that same concept. I want to be the Eddie in someone's life.
So,
because you never know, even the hardest person where you see where there's a lost cause, like that was my family. But because someone did always drop in, when we least expected love, when we least expected like prayer, when we least expected just some kind words or someone without judgment. When my dad was ready, the first person he called was that one person that always was kind to him, which was Brother Eddie. So that's how he came literally to the Lord. So my dad, he went first. Like we were like, nah, bro, like, maybe you're having just a moment, like a spiritual moment, emotional,
Yeah, you'll get over it.
Yeah, you'll get over it. You'll be back.
Yeah.
Because we knew his life, man. Like he says, like he had Budweiser on his hand because he was an alcoholic. He was a bad user. So little by little, man, he would go just sit in Bible studies. Eddie wouldn't just come, just come. Never made him go to the altar call, nothing.
Right.
So my dad, he committed to like about a year or so before he realized, like, man, what rehab couldn't do, what jail couldn't do, what counseling couldn't do, what my mom couldn't do, what drugs couldn't do. God, literally changed his life.
Were you guys tripping out?
Yeah, we held it against him. All of a sudden, you want to come. All of a sudden, all of a sudden, you don't want to cuss. All of a sudden, you want us to turn off the music. Remember, we'd always hang it over his head, but he stuck through it because he started experiencing a turnaround. But we started experiencing peace in our home. My mom followed. Then we would go. So the seed's always been kind of like planted to like the family tree, but like just his little attendance started like working in his life, and then he became an usher, and we used to bag on him because my dad wasn't a church-going person. If anything, he hated church because he says that when he was younger, my grandma was like Christian and my grandpa was like Catholic.
It was a struggle.
Yeah, so like when one was mad at the other, they would pull him away from like Catholic school, then they would pull him away from Bible school. So he was like F religion,
Yeah.
So we used to laugh at him because he had his tie was too short, you know what I mean? Or his coat was, his mangas on his coat were too big, but he was like a proud usher, like.
That's funny, man.
And
that's when you know guys are really transformed.
Yeah.
When they start like serving, right? Like and doing something out of the ordinary, you're like, okay, this is weird, but maybe it's a good thing.
So my brother and I have a little sister, we still like weren't sold out. Like it wasn't really like.
Are you the oldest?
No, I'm the middle child. Yeah, I have an older brother. And I remember though my parents would then go back to their neighborhood, and I would be riding shotgun with them. So now when they were going back to the neighborhood in Compton, they would go down Rosecrans, Long Beach Boulevard, or whatever, and their friends would be prostituting or be using in my mom would go and talk to them. I don't care if you're drinking, girl. What's up? Give me a hug, homegirl. Like, you know what I mean? And always like embrace them. So that always embedded into me to be like a friend, a true friend. Long story short, my dad was part of the like revival in like parks and stuff. When there was like gang wars in the neighborhood, he would like literally set up in the park or in the alley of where this gang, where the Bloods and the Mexicans are going at it in Compton, and make a stage, and like the homeless people there or that Winos neighborhood will sweep the dirt out the way. He would set a PA system, and he would have rappers and singers, and he would share the word. He would give away free food. So a lot of those seeds were being sown into me. I would watch it.
Right.
And so a lot of people don't know that backstory of why I'm so like not professional at it, but I've seen it. Like,
what works.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I think same thing with me. My dad planted a seed of just learning how to connect to different people, and that was his, to me, that was his gift. Like he was able, like, to the neighborhood guys, and he would find some common ground with these people over here. And then he would, mess around with these people. And it was like, I would trip out on that as a kid and see that, like, there was all kinds of different people at our house. We'd have, people over, and a black guy and a nerd and a gangster, and it was just like, how are these different people? And my dad was able to show that. So I totally get that where you got like that seed was planted as a kid.
So my mom had us when she was 15 years old. She was like young mom, so we kind of grew up together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So some point, the pastor like trained him and was like, you know what, like think you're called to that community. You have people that are literally look up to you and stuff, because like I said, they weren't trying to like set out to be pastors or anything. They were just going back to their neighborhood and seeing the shootings and the racial wars because of what they were hearing and the love and the stuff that changed them. They wanted to impart that in that community, and a lot of the wars and stuff did defuse because of the atmosphere that he set in that ground. You know what I mean?
Right.
And my mom then, as a young mother, and what she experienced through the hardship, she had a heart for young mothers now. So she was embracing domestic violence, like young mothers, just people in situations. So a lot of the people called my mom in the neighborhood. She was loving. So fast forward, when I started working and doing my own thing and stuff, I started to see the homeless in Compton and in Long Beach. Like, the population was growing, bro. It's not the moment you could drive down to 710 and not see tents, bro, like all over by the riverbeds, right?
Yeah.
So I felt compelled, like, what can I do? I'm going to go connect with them, because like I said, the seed's always been sown to go reach them. And then I was hearing the word and then being encouraged, and I would go out and, God bless you, man. And I would bring water bottles, and water bottles ended up to like a sandwich and a water bottle.
How old were you?
This started in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, so, what, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost.
So growing up, I've always kind of like seen it when my parents doing it. So I grew and learned how to like love people.
I think that's a good aspect because, and I asked that question earlier. Was it just in you, or did you see it? Did you learn it? There's like some things that our parents pass down to us, and maybe we don't recognize right away.
Yeah.
Like we don't recognize right away, but as we get older, we recognize like, oh, that's where I got it from.
You want to hear a powerful story?
And there could be some bad stuff that we get from our parents too, right?
Yeah.
But to have some legacy items that we're very proud of, like, okay, it's passed down to us. This is where I got it from.
Yeah. Let me share with you a powerful testimony, bro. Do you mind?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Check this out, dude. So, like, I wasn't fully convinced about being, like, super Christian, And so I didn't grow up, like, perfect, like, church kid or anything like that. My dad was going through his transition. The Lord was working on him because he was a man of the house, whatever. So I was doing my own thing.
Right.
And but the Lord was always pricking my heart. Anywhere I go, I'd have like weird convictions. Even though like I was enjoying what I was doing, I would have like these random weird convictions, bro. Like with females or drugs or whatever. Like I'd have these like weird convictions. But also like in some dirt, but had a good heart. Like don't beat them up that bad, or what I mean? Like, we're not gonna steal all that. Whatever it was, right? And my dad, before I gave my life to the Lord, he would call me. He was already pastoring. He would call me like, hey, the Lord brought you up in service. The Lord. And I wouldn't want to hear it because I didn't want to stop what I was doing, or I didn't want to feel the conviction, right? And then he was like, I respected him a little bit more because now he was like a pastor. So I remember he went to a convention, like a pastor's meeting, and he would be like, the Lord brought you up in service today. I was like, I don't want to, like, don't tell me, So he, everywhere I would go during this week, right? I was running from the Lord. I would go, and people randomly, like, I went to go order a sandwich at a Bionico store, right? They sell fruit and tortas, right? So I was like, I'm going to go get torta. The dude on the other side of the counter only spoke Spanish, and he told me,
Bionico store.
How do you say it?
I don't even know how to say it, but I know what you're talking about.
Right? Where you get the fruit, the yogurts, the whole. They're amazing, bro.
What's the stuff they pour on there?
Like the cremas,
the chamayo. What is it, chamayo?
Well,
I
not
don't
the
know.
chamoy, but you know
the
what I'm talking
chamoy.
about. Sorry, the super proper Latinos are probably all mad at me. Like,
don't get mad.
Yeah. So
kick back, fool.
We kick back. Look at my socks are high. I'm still down. Right? So this guy on the other side of the counter was like. He's like, hermano, let me pray for you. I was taken back, bro, because I was like, bro, I just came for my torta, but I had such a conviction because my dad was trying to reach me and I was like blown away. So now these random strangers were like, let me pray for you. And I felt so like sad because I was like, dang, I was so used to seeing it from this side of the counter because my dad was always praying for people. So I was like, damn, I must be bad if random strangers are asking me. But I knew I was running from the things of God, right? And this girl that I was with at the time, I didn't like love her or anything like that. But she even said, why don't you go to church with your dad? And I was like, who are you to tell me about God? Like, you're a side piece, just all like rude and stuff. But I felt so convicted, like, like, I don't want to talk about that. So my dad would call me again, like, hey, I'm with a pastor that he was with that that he was being mentored by, wants to speak to you. And I was like, no, don't put him on, don't. So I was like mad at my dad, like, don't call me with people from church and put me on the spot, because I don't want to disrespect them, but don't do that. Like, that's weird, So I was your
dad was probably like, I'm not telling them. They just, it's on their heart already. God's telling them.
Probably. My dad was like in Oklahoma and I was like here in Long Beach. So I was so fed up with hearing about God and this and that I was like, I'm gonna go get a tattoo, because that was me. I'm like, I'm all tattooed. I'm gonna go get a tattoo. So this guy that I didn't know was like, calls me and is like, hey, I heard you want to get tattooed. It was in Pico Rivera. He's like, come through at night. I have a slot at 10 o'clock if you want to get tattooed. But in my mind, I was like, yeah, I just want to go, because I knew that in this atmosphere, I was going to see like naked girls on the walls and see like skulls, and I was going to hear music that wasn't going to be a churchy, or nobody was going to preach there to me, right? So I go, and you know, like most people like trust their tattoo artists. I didn't even know this guy. For all I know, he had like chicken scratch tattoos shop, you know? So I go, and I'm the only one there. The shop looks pretty much closed, right? So I go into the shop, and like as an artist, I'm start sketching out what I would like to get, right? So he's like, oh, you're Jacob? You're here for the appointment? I was like, yeah. He's like, all right. So he walks behind me, and he puts a chain on the door. Like he closes it and chains it from the inside and locks it. So in my peripheral, I'm watching this. But in my heart, I'm thinking, damn, like, I just got set up. Because here I show up to this food spot. I don't even know. He's all friendly to me, and he's locking me inside. So I'm watching. So I'm holding my pen, like, damn, like, whatever, you know, the stuff I was in was caught up to me, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm watching him, and he comes back around. He's all, like, serious. But I'm, like, in my heart, I'm like, damn, like, it's going to go bad. And he comes around the counter, and he's like, why have you been running from God?
Wow.
The Lord told me to lock the door, and so that you wouldn't leave, but God told me to talk to you, because to stop running. So like I can get emotional right now, because like it was so real. Like I went there to not hear from him, in the least place I expected to be touched by God. Like he showed up through the person I least expected to be preaching to me.
Man.
And so while he's tattooing me, he's telling me his testimony, how he was in the parking lot of his tattoo shop, and a church was renting one of the rooms and having Bible studies. So one of the ushers were like always like greet him, and then he's in his shop, he'd be playing the bass. So the ushers would be like, hey, we're having praise and worship night. Like if you wanted to come join us, you could jam out. So he went, and just through playing music, the Lord reached him. So I never met this guy. He locks me in his tattoo shop. I'm thinking I'm gonna get set up, and he tells me like, why have you been running? Like God's been trying to talk to you. So like in the tattoo shop, he leads me to the Lord. So the next day, my dad arrives back from his conference or whatever, and he gives me the CD. So I'm like, you know, I'm open now to what he has to say. So he gives me a CD, and I listened to it. At the end of it, they were praying for all the pastors, right? Oh, God's going to give you a new building. God said your church is going to flourish this year. But when he gets to my dad, he starts praying, and he says, Pastor Juan, while all these pastors are believing God for buildings, the Lord, you've been praying for the building up of your son. Like, wow. I got him. So like my dad didn't tell me like, oh, listen to this part, you know what I'm saying? So it just resonated, like everything that I was experiencing, and for him to like that pastor to say that, like it really touched me like to my core, where I was like, man, if I ever run away, I'd hate to like wake up one day and then regret that I didn't like listen to God this time. You know what I'm saying? That something tragic would happen. I didn't want to wait for that, because it's like been too obvious that like God's been trying to reach me.
Wow, man.
So a lot that I do comes from a heart of gratitude, because he met me when I was rejecting him in the place I didn't expect him to meet me. So when I goes to the alleys and reach the homeless, like that's Jacob, because they're somewhere where they least expect to get love or be treated with kind words or be embraced or told I love you. You know what I mean?
Especially coming from a guy with tattoos, LA hat, and you're going up to a homeless guy. They're probably like, for a second, they're probably like looking at you sideways, like, what is this? You're giving me a cup of coffee, you're giving me something, like, what do you have for me? But once you break that barrier and you give them that coffee, or you give them those items they may need, it breaks it down like immediately.
You know, it's a weird this like the anointing that's over my life is very weird, because I'm so received, instead of like, who is this fool? And the worst scenario cases, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's like a gang infested like block where there's homeless people that's being controlled, you know, by like an alpha on that block, or like most vulnerable like sick people, like it's just the atmosphere. Like I just asked like God, I've been judged before because of tattoos, bro. Like I couldn't go to certain youth classes because I was already tattooed like young. So I asked the Lord, like, because he was just like, use me, like wherever you feel fit, like I'm willing to be used if you could use this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's kind of been like my my connection to, or my like vibe is like when I go certain places, it works out. Like, and it's all, like the cup of coffee like I brought today, it's just the icebreaker.
Yeah, man.
And I get to listen to.
I appreciate it.
Cheers, bro. Cheers. Cheers. You know what I'm saying? But
Thank
it's
you.
so real to me what I encountered. So that kindness that I displayed to you, there's someone that hasn't experienced that on the streets, bro. They're beating themselves up. They hate their situation. They don't see no way out, and they've accepted failure. I've seen people, I'm out here 13 years, I'm a dad in these streets. You don't have to, dog. There's a better quality of life, and I may not have the solution for you now, but this is what helps me. And then just be consistent now, brother. Now, you know, I have some of the homeless people that volunteer with us now, or that cook for us. Like, you know, they rehab and they're doing good and they're working now, and they're like, I want to come cook with you.
So how did you start Project Coffee Cup?
So when I got saved through that encounter, I was just going to my dad's church, and I started it because it's in Long Beach, and I started to see a lot of the homeless, and I had a youth class at that time, so I would take the youth like, hey, we're gonna go ride beach cruisers this Saturday, and everyone's bringing a water bottle. So at that time, Fixies was in. I don't even remember when there was like a Fixie phase, you know.
Cam has a Fixie in the garage.
Remember that phase though when everyone was riding Fixies
Yep.
and stuff. So at that time, like everyone, so everybody get your Fixie. We're gonna go down the Long Beach riverbed, and then we would just drop off water at all the encampments. And they got so inspired, and then I also like felt great, like man, cool, like you know, we're sharing the word and we're helping people. And I would take sandwiches, and that kind of like developed as a program out of the ministry.
That's so,
you know, so then it just evolved where I was everywhere, like people from different cities who started experiencing like a lot of homeless. They'll message me, like mayors from like the city of Linwood will be like, can you do that in my city? And I was like, here, this like random kid like talking to the mayor and like the sheriff's like, well, this is how I connect with them. I'm like, can you do that here? Can you bring that? And they would just sponsor. They would have my back, and I would just show them like it's just simple as connecting. It doesn't have to be a big circus, you know, just meet the people in your community. And then, you know, they started doing that, and I just branched out, and it blossomed to what it is today.
Were you tripping out how fast it started to grow, or you were just like, man, this is good. This is.
I started tripping out on like the support I started to get like in random like places, like people from the Mayans that I love, like I like that show, and they were like messaging me like, I see what you're doing, dog. Like, you know, here's a pack of socks, or you know what, I haven't been wearing these Pendletons, man. Like here, like it's just weird, like to inspire people that I like looked up to, or that I like admired and stuff, like their work. Artists like message me like, hey, let's help out a family, let's do it. And I looked up to this artist, like I'm so fascinated with his style and his skill.
Deffer,
Deffer, and a lot of other ones, and so it's been mind blowing on how like it's opened doors to meet like some really cool people that have the same heart.
I think when I've come across your stuff a lot throughout this time, and I think when I saw it, the thing that I was tripping out about is that you really put a focus on the people and on the project that you're doing. Sometimes when people are givers, especially in the day of social media, it's very easy to get caught up that it's about the person. Yeah. Right? It's about the me person. But I think what attracted me to what you're doing is really it's not about me, it's about we, and it's about the people on the streets and making sure we highlight the city and the needs. I think that's the key where people kind of see an authenticity from you, like man, I'm just here to really serve. You know what I mean? I think if more people were like that in a way of a servant's heart, whether it's a project like you're having, or whether it's I'm going to take a pack of socks, and if I see any guy on the street, I'm going to give it to him. So I think I like that, man, because you can make a small difference, but when you make a big difference and you're still kind of out of the limelight, it's not about me. It's about the project.
Definitely. Being on a podcast like here, or we've been on certain platforms where it's so important to share the reality of those voices that are not being heard. You know what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't even, there's like, yesterday we served in the city of Santa Ana. We served meals and stuff, and they took us to an area. The homeless person seeing other people and saying they're bad. Like, that's bad when the person that's not doing too good sees others and is like, they're not doing good. So what he did was he took us to an alley, and there was people like I think it's something like fentanyl. They were like literally zombie. They're like lifeless, hopeless, and they were laid out. And I'm like, this is going on in this city? Like, the city does have money. I mean, the Angel Stadium's right here. Like, I don't know, just thinking, like, how is this possible?
I work in Santa Ana.
Oh,
and if my office is in Santa Ana, it's,
you know where the swap meet is?
Yeah,
That's where we were.
so I would stay my little closer to Tustin and
Okay.
55, right? But when I drove in one day and I'm going through there and I'm just like, this city it reminds me of cities like we grew up in, right? It
Yeah.
reminds me like of a Huntington Park, or it
Yeah.
reminds me of a Linwood, right? And I'm like, and it's weird because it's in this, like you said, it's in the center of Orange County. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people just out there, literally like zombies, laid out like lifeless. Like, I mean, they weren't dead, but they're just so under the influence and just bad, bro. Like, and there's people that have died that we've served off of fentanyl.
Move your mic a little closer. There you go.
You know, there's people that have passed away off of the like drug abuse of fentanyl and overdosing and extreme like sad situations out there. People that just accepted like their situations and don't see their way out.
How do you not, sometimes it can be like an impossible task, right? I mean, it just continues to grow, especially when it's continuing to grow, right? How do you not get discouraged, man? Like I see this and it's just growing and growing. And you're like, you're trying to make a difference, but how do you not get discouraged and just be like, man, are we really making a difference?
Yeah, we do get that. There's a lot of discouragement because this is like, I don't want to sound all like politically correct and offend people, but I believe that the power to help them is there. They're just not going to. They're not going to use the money for those people. The city does have the avenues or the resources. If a grassroots organization is making a difference and these people have the solutions, they have like the turnkey projects, they can use funding for just rehabilitation programs. There just isn't enough because the crisis is growing. The cost of living is going higher, so people are not making, like, people are struggling, or people are like a paycheck away. So those that can't even get off their feet, they're just doing bad and then getting worse, and it's getting out of control. So there has to be a need. But I mean, if God was willing to like be there for my dad, then like he could be there for them. If God was able to like meet me in the worst spot, like that's my hope. So a part of the inspiration is my mom. My mom, she did that. She passed away of cancer, and it was an awful like experience. It was awful. She got brain cancer. But seeing that process gives you a different perspective on life, and that's what kind of drives me. That I don't even see like the floodgate of bad. Is like there's a person there, we need to help him, because like if I end up passing or getting the similar situation, I want to at least have something in my life that says like he tried to make a difference in someone's life, and we are. And it's not just me; it's a team that I have been blessed with that have like such a selfless heart, and I'm even able to like step back and start flames in different cities, and they're out there touching the people, reaching the people, and making a difference. So it's like a little trickle effect of like, we all just link up and get together and be little sparks of flames in our community. You don't have to be Project Coffee Cup, but if you get inspired by something we do, like do it in your family. Start at home with a relative you don't like, or the community people.
Right. I think a lot of people think that, right? They think that in order to make a difference, you got to start a project, or we got to get an LLC, or it's got to be a 501c. I got to make this a big organization, and it's not even about that.
Nah.
It's the little. There's a woman that walks by every day from work. She passes by. My wife said hi, and she's carrying like a luggage, and my wife goes out there and she goes, "Oh, that's my friend." And I go, "That woman?" And I go, "Oh, we see her walking by," and she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, I give her water all the time she comes by here. And she goes, I just found out like she works down the street, but she walks to work every day. And she goes, so if it's hot, I go out there and I give her water. I see her and I talk to her for a little bit. I'm like,
that's right.
But it's a small things. And I think the small things that make the difference. I mean, it makes a difference in that person's life. It makes a difference in, all relationships with people. It gives us a better perspective. My wife's like, she's Nigerian. And she's great woman. I love talking to her.
Awesome.
And we're Mexican American, and it's like you make this connection of different people just by going outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, they're beautiful people, man. But through our organization, like thousands of people have been fed, thousands of blankets have been provided, thousands, like a lot. We've been doing it consistency, even through the pandemic. But Project Coffee Cup would not even be here if that one person never had ministered to my dad.
That's crazy. See, I think the I like to talk about on this podcast too is the power of the one, right? The power of the one. Like when I say, like how God touched my grandmother, and changed her life. Alcohol, drugs, totally living wild. But
Abuelita?
yeah, my grandma was wild, dude. We would go pick her up on Pacific Boulevard at the bar on Pacific. Me, my uncle, my mom.
In Huntington Park.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And but she got her life changed. And my mom says that she's seen the changed life in my grandmother, and she was like, "This is real. Like something's real here." But the power of the one, that changed our family, changed the neighborhood they were from, and then whoever else, that ripple effect, you know, it just kept going. And I think if you allow yourself to be used, like Eddie, you allow yourself to be used like your grandma or whoever, I think we don't know the ripple effect that it has. And that's the key. Like your ripple effect it goes way beyond what you've seen.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
So like we try to be the Eddie in someone's life. You never know. Like I said, my dad and then everything, like nobody wanted him around, bro. And Eddie didn't like judge him off that. He just sowed seeds, and when he was ready, because a lot of people out there are not ready, but they also don't have positive voices in their life. So even if you're not homeless, value the people that have positive voices in your life. Value them.
Yeah, I think that's key, man. I think I liked what you said, where you've taken a lot of the negative stuff that you've had and the things that you've seen, and a lot of people use those as a crutch for their life. Why I didn't become this, or I can't do that because I grew up in the neighborhood, or my dad was alcoholic or drug addict. I was in the neighborhood. I wasn't going to amount to nothing. Yeah. And they use that as an excuse. But I think taking the negative things in your experiences and using them for the positive, I think, especially like in your life, kind of gives hope to people. Like you can take that, your mother passing away. I'm sure you've ran into people that have lost their parents.
Yeah, it's what's sad is I've seen people with cancer there with like catheters, homeless, because there's no money to maintain their like medical supplies or medical help. Homeless, you know what I'm saying? Battling is like, geez, So my mom's death was like, it was awful to see what cancer did to her. Project Coffee Cup has also given me a lane to grieve, like, and get stronger, because I wanted to be angry. It hurt me, and the way things happened in my family, like, it devastated me, made me mad. So Project Coffee Cup, like, as much as I was helping homeless people, they were helping me too. So learning to use that outlet to give back helped me from being bitter and angry and really wallowing in that sorrow. And then I'm grieving like the way I know how, but as progressively forward, because I'm giving back. I'm putting myself out there, and it heals you, man. When you give back, you don't do it out of like selfishness, but when you step out, it does refresh you.
It makes you feel good.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it makes you feel good. We this is not to brag. There's a young guy at the gas station the other day, very young, and he's like, "You have any change?" And my wife's like a total giver, man. She gets out of the car, she goes up to him, and she tells him that Jesus loves him, and he cry out to Jesus. She gave him a $20 bill, man. And she gave him a $20 bill, and so I'm over here feeling bad because I was looking for change.
The ashtray, remember the ashtray?
Yeah, I literally did. My car has an ashtray, like I'm like little coin tray right there, and I'm pulling it out. And I was like, oh, nothing in there. My wife busts out the 20 and gives it to him, and I'm like, gee. And I look at him and I go, hey, you thirsty? You hungry? You want it? He goes, yeah. I go get you something in the gas station. And I got him something, but. The $20 could have been for gas, right? The $20 could have been for something in this time. But I was just like, I felt sad for the kid for sure. But his face, and he kept looking back at us, and he had a smile on his face, and it made me feel good, man. Like my little petty problems from that day, or concerns, or we can't go out to eat today. It was like it was gone, and I was okay with that because it made me feel good.
I think whatever, man, makes you feel good, because there's pastors that have been telling me like, oh, brother, I love your ministry, I love what you do. God didn't call me to do that. I know, like, I get people change, they're going to use it for alcohol. Like, that offends me, because it's like, it's not my ministry, man, it's my heart. These are people, like, these are brothers and sisters,
right?
And most importantly, they're children of God. We don't always do things that are acceptable, right? But have you ever seen somebody convulse who's an alcoholic because they can't afford a beer? Like, it's an awful sight to see that. Like, I worked in the medical field, and I seen people on a sick one, or when they're convulsing because they need a beer, and some people are afraid to like let go of that because of what it'll do to them. So that dollar,
I think that's huge. I think that's huge what you said, though, because I say two things. God, in the word, it doesn't say, give to the homeless that are going to use it for food and shelter and clothing, right? It just says give, and it shall be given, right? Yeah. I think, and I always use this as an analogy too. Is my wife is like, I don't care. The kid's going to use it for whatever. I'm going to give it to him because God told me to give it to them. God doesn't say give it to him because
strings attached.
Yeah, exactly, with strings attached. So and in the word, I mean, Jesus must have. I mean, there's accounts of him healing people, praying for people, ministering to people, right? And we know that he probably did more than what the Bible could hold, right? But I'm sure there's some people that didn't live a good life after they got healed, right? we know the story of the 10 lepers. Only one came back to say thank you, right? I mean, but he still healed.
It's just that he was fully restored.
Yes.
That one that came back. One of the stories that I love is I believe it's in the book of Acts when the disciples were walking to the gate called Beautiful, and there was like a festival. But this guy the Bible says that he was laid at the temple, like he was laid at the gate, and he was like a professional, like beggar. He would always ask for alms. People will walk by and give him alms, ignore him. So he was known, but nobody seen him out of that situation. So when the disciples walked by, he asked him alms. He's like, silver and gold have I none, but what I do have. And the Bible says he reaches out his hand. I give you in Jesus Christ. And he shakes his hand and lifts the brother up. And the Bible says as he came up, he was healed. And the people tripped out because he walked in the gates with the disciples. Crip walking, bro. Where they were like, yo, that's the dude that was at the gate. He's walking and he's leaping and enjoying. And that's kind of like, I always take that inspiration when I go out there. It's like, it could have been that hello, that good morning, what's up, man, or that dollar, or, I have, like, when we get sponsored food, like, man, I have a burrito for you. I always tell them, like, I heard it's your birthday. Like, oh, my birthday's next month. Oh, we made it here on time, bro. It's for and they're like, oh, yours for me. You know what I mean? We don't know what it's going to do, but plant that seed, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right. We
love to get blessed with money, right? When you get that Pentecostal handshake, oh no, my breakthrough. What is it giving somebody $2, man? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not gonna break me, right? Really, is it gonna make or break me?
But if it's in your heart, do it. And if it's not, then don't. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just don't be all like, oh, I'm not gonna give him money because he's gonna use it. Then don't, bro. Like,
right. I think that's the biggest thing is the heart, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like the woman giving 2 mites, right? So you have all these people in front of her giving big offerings and want to show off, and she comes with 2 mites, and it's like that woman gave more because that's all she had. And there is I want to talk about the blessing of giving. What blessings have you received? And I'm not talking material, but just what do you receive by giving? And what have you in your life? What have you gotten out of that? And what do you see by that? Because I want to inspire people to give more.
I feel so like, in any situation, I feel like at my hardest time when I shouldn't give, I've seen my breakthroughs when I give, or prepared a meal, or, bless somebody with my shoes. I just had to find something to give. That's why I did, like, sometimes, like, if my change is $5, I usually say, give me 5 ones, so that, like, if I see people on the streets that are begging, like, I have 5 opportunities to be a blessing, or God will put it in my heart for whatever it is, right? I just, like, I almost feel like compelled that if when I don't give, that's where my failure is, and it just works for me. I
love to see I would call it the science project of giving in God's terms, right? So I give and it shall be given, right? So I was with this guy. I was training him at work, so we're riding together and we're eating lunch, and a homeless guy comes in, man, and this was this last week, dude. And I'm not bragging, but I want to. Hopefully somebody else will give. But the homeless guy's sitting behind us, and he asks for a cup of water. So we finish eating. I look at the guy, and God told me, just get him something. I said, you hungry? He's, yeah. So we were at, I think, Flame Broiler or something. I was like, let me get you a chicken bowl, and we'll get you a drink. And I gave it to him, and the young guy that was with me was like, well, that was cool. Like that was dope. And I wasn't trying to show off, but I just felt compelled. I give it to the guy, right? I come home later on that day. I go to UPS store to turn in some cheap Amazon stuff I didn't want after all. And so I'm there. I come back out. The meal that I got in was like $9.98, right? Tax, everything. I come out, look by my tire, $20. $20 on the floor by my tire.
Oh, wow.
Later on in the day, I grab the 20, and then I take a picture of it, and I send it to that kid that I was training. And I go, remember that guy we got lunch for today? He's like, yeah. I go, look what I found today. He goes, man, God doubled that, dude, for you.
Project Coffee Cup, a lot of that we get like sponsors, or we do get like donors and stuff. But sometimes it's hard because the need has grown. And oftentimes we're coming out of our own pocket. Like, for example, the people in Santa Ana, a lot of people were coming to eat, and we were running out of like some food. So there was a market, like, run and get the chips. We're going to do like nachos and stuff. So we were coming out of pocket. And since I help out a lot of my teams, it's been kind of tight, personally.
Especially now.
But it's
very tough for people to give now with the inflation, the economy, gas.
Absolutely. And sometimes as an organization, or like the face of the organization, people always expect you to be strong. And like, I get families all the time, like what they're going through, and sometimes they don't ask you what you're going through. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So they always think you got it like that. But what I've learned is to never lose my joy. That's one thing, like never. So if I need a gift, like I'm gonna be happy about that $1 or whatever it is, right? But never lose your joy. So nobody knew that I was like experiencing a little difficult season right now. I had gotten sick with COVID. I almost died from COVID. Oh, wow. I was hospitalized with pneumonia in my lungs for a while, like mostly all of October. And through the grace of God, like I'm here. And that set me back a lot, because when I got out, I still couldn't walk. Like I had lost a lot of strength in my bones. I had dropped like massive weight. My lungs were extremely weak and fatigued. And so to make a long story short, I didn't share any of that. But I'm gonna lean over here and show you something.
So this woman randomly, you showed me the text right now.
How's your family doing?
How you doing?
How's your family doing? Nobody ever. Bro, I can go show you like all my networks and the messages.
Because they're asking you for help, right?
Always, yeah.
We need help.
Or they're referring people.
Right.
I have a family at the park.
Can you help me with this?
And we do. If we can't get shelter, we'll put them in the motel, and we're like turn over every rock and find shelter and look for favor in certain shelters that will take a family. And there's a lot of politics in shelters, because some can't take a young boy that's 13 and over. They can't take a husband and wife,
So crazy, huh?
It's a lot, and the resources are limited. That's why, So a lot of these people are doing the best that they can. So shout out to all the resources, shelters that are doing their best.
So you got blessed.
I got blessed, bro, because nobody knew this, but I didn't have enough to pay for my son's club uniform.
Wow.
And it was his birthday. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to do that, I was just like, thank you, Lord, because like I know we have so many seeds, and I just gotta, pray over those and water those seeds after, I need that harvest, God. That's how I'm blessed.
Have your needs always been met?
Yeah.
One way or another.
One way or another. Sometimes he be waiting for the last minute, man. It always feels great, but I'm like, dude, I didn't have to go through that period of stress.
God, why you playing?
Can
you give it to me last week?
Yeah.
Why you gotta wait till the last minute? I know. I've been there, bro. You're praying for stuff, and you're like, Lord, and you know He's gonna come through, but it's like, can you come through on my timing once in a while?
I love like when families are like, man, we're believing God for this house, and with the last minute, the last finance, we don't have the time. So crunch it, then like God breaks through, like and
right.
They're like, oh my gosh, I almost gave up. But gird on your belt and stay in faith and don't lose your joy, and that's the key. And
yeah, I mean that's a great heart that you have. I think that in order to give. And to see your vulnerability, like I said, that's what I think I liked most. It's really transparent on the Project Coffee Cup, Instagram, your giving. But I think that was huge, because you've been there, you've done that, you've had a struggle even for this.
Even as the founder of Project Coffee Cup,
yeah, you struggle, but you continue to give, and so. I hope that this kind of inspire those people people out there to find something that they can give back to. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be anything great. It could be a meal. It could be a bottle of water. Whatever it may be. I think if we all kind of took those steps, we can make some sort of changes.
Yeah. So what you mentioned in the beginning was art. So this is how art. I'm gonna introduce my art.
Yeah. Let's
follow
segue.
me, Jacob Baruch _artwork. So. Using your talent. So what I tell my friends, use your talent to give back. Use your talent to make a difference in somebody's life. So mine was art. I didn't always have the right art tools like some people, but I learned ghetto, bro. Crayons, Sharpies, and all that stuff. It made it work for myself. When it came time to provide for the homeless and I didn't have it, I would sell my paintings. I would find a board and trash that was I can make this a dope, piece. Drawing it. I started drawing on shoes and customizing shoes. So follow me at Jacob Baruch. That's JACOB BARUCH _artwork. You'll see me customize Vans, Air Force Ones, Louis Vuitton, the Coach purses, all that stuff.
I've seen some of your stuff, man. It's really dope. And how did you get into art?
Just growing up in like the like gang infested family, my uncles were always tattooing in the backyard. Like my dad, like ghetto machines and stuff. So I've always been intrigued by art, intrigued by graffiti. So I was doing my little S, in elementary school, like a dollar sign, and then made it like in different styles, and just always was inspired by like these amazing artists like Durf and Bansky and everybody, right? So that's kind of just how I have my own style, and I love it now. Like anywhere you go in LA, you see artwork, graffiti, and murals and stuff. So I just love the culture, but I'm self-taught. Didn't go to no art schools, and just learned how to like. I tattoo. I got into like customizing shoes, like your favorite sport theme, your favorite artist, your company logo. That's why I get a lot. Those are so much like fun, when you get a pair of white Vans and then you customize it to their liking.
Okay, so you this is the thing I wanted to ask you. Like you said, you get the Louis Vuitton bag, you get somebody's brand new Air Force Ones or Vans, and you got to paint on them. There's very little room to make a mistake, bro.
Yeah.
So what is the trick of painting on somebody's brand new sneakers and not making a mistake, or which is really got to be nerve wracking, some Louis Vuitton bag or something? It's
always nerve wracking, It's always but I've been doing it for so long that I know. Like now I'm like taping up certain areas because I'm like clumsy with the paint, but I'm self-taught, man. So if anybody's out there wants to help me, but I've just mastered it by just taking my time. So Vans. I don't know. It's weird because I'm self-taught, and I honestly don't know like how it's gonna end up. I'm just like it's like a journey for me, man. So painting is like an escape. So if I take a pair of like white Vans, right, and they tell me their theme, in my mind I see the outline and I'm collaging it, okay, and I don't even use a ruler. I'm just like, okay, I'll do the face this big, that big, and I'll hit it light with like a light pen or like a mechanical pen because it's really thin, and then I start slamming paint lightly. Then I add if I need to make it bolder. If I have like black dark shoes, then I'll hit like the white so that my colors can pop, and it just comes out cool, man. Like I'm amazed too. Like damn, I pulled it off. So like with like Coach purses or like Louis Vuitton like wallets and stuff, I'm like, okay, what do you want? And then I'll show them a reference or what I sketched out, and they're like, yeah, and then just go at it,
Yeah, I think it's dope, man. I was wondering that because I saw your page and I was just like, this guy, like that's kind of nerve wracking, man, because you can't mess up. And then what do? You mess up and you got to go buy the person a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, no. So like with those expensive wallets, I'm always like extra careful. Like I tape out places I don't need paint to get on, but I'm also like, please don't mess up. Please don't mess up. Please don't mess up.
You have to keep the bag or keep the shoes and donate them to some homeless guy, and then you got to go buy a new pair for your
and
client.
Like I'm my worst critic, dude. Like I'm like, damn, that sucked, man. And they're like, it's great. I'm like, nah, you don't see that line that I see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I haven't messed up anything like that. But I see like my old work, and I'm like, damn, I could have did that better. But just progress, like you said. Like I've just been doing it for so long that now I know like what I'm going to do and how I'm going to lay it out, and just take my time.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
So what is your dream with Project Coffee Cup, man? If you had a dream for that organization which you started, what would be that dream?
God gave me a dream, and in this dream, I saw like jail cells, right? And in each jail cell was like young kids, like young adults. And every time I walked by a jail cell, I felt their pain. Like I felt what they were like, lonely, anger, sad, and then like God was showing me like, oh, their friends or their parents, like they can't visit him. This fool's alone in here, or he doesn't have money to fight for this case. And then the Lord showed me like these are good kids that made bad choices, but they're good kids. And I started to feel them. Then I was put in a jail cell, and I was like, God, like what? And everything that they felt, like I was feeling, and I was like crying out for God, like help me. What am I gonna do? Like my family, my kid. I don't know. Just was like feeling all this despair. Then the Lord like opened it, and He was like, I want you to like help the youth. Teach to the youth. So like through that dream, like that was my like, I want to open up a coffee shop, but that coffee shop will be like a workshop where youth could come and do their homework, or youth could come and serve and make a resume for themselves. And then like every week we're going to create care packages, and every other week together, the youth in the community, we're going to go out and do Project Coffee Cup in the neighborhood and give them life skills, whether I'll have somebody like yourself, how do you start a podcast, or have a welder come and teach life like trades, and then hopefully inspire them, because a lot of idle time is bad time. You know what I'm saying? So that's my ultimate goal. So one day have a coffee shop that's also like a learning center, but it's just a vibe shop. You know what I mean?
That's dope, man. I think we need more of that in the community. We need that. What is the biggest misconception about homeless people?
Drugs. But there's so many avenues that lead to homelessness, and a lot of people, I'm not making excuses for them. A lot of people are suffering from like mental illness, and low income families that don't have the money to maintain that lifestyle. So I've seen people with Down syndrome, I've seen people with autism, I've seen people with schizophrenia, bipolar, different disorders that now have used drugs, and they're not using their like medical drugs, or the abuelita was raising that kid because he had bad parents, like that couldn't, and now that kid's on his own. I've seen kids out there on Skid Row, you know. I met a guy that was like, he was shaking my hand like, thank you for what you do. I was 14 years old on Skid Row. You don't know how many rapes I seen at night. You don't know how many people that just survived. So there's a lot of like awful stories of people that just don't have the positive voices of their homes, or the extra room to quarantine in, or the support, right? So the misconception is that everybody's a druggie. Everybody's out there. They're out there because they want to be. And sometimes like the meth is a monster. Heroin is like a snake and a devil. And it robs people of their future. And these brothers and sisters need to be like, be loved. And not to enable that situation, but no, man, like love covers a multitude of sin. And it's the anointing that's going to destroy that yoke. We got to have more brothers and sisters. We will cram a church and get on fire. By the time we hit the parking lot, like that emotion's gone. We're not even going out there and spreading the stuff that we become faith hoarders. There's a brother and sister that needs your help, that needs your love, that needs your compassion. And I feel we need more of that. So the misconception is that people are out there because they want to be. There's some bad people out there, don't get me wrong. It's obvious. The only difference is that their struggle is exposed because they don't have four walls to close it in. You know, and that's that's the stereotype. They're just drugs and stuff. But I meet senoras, I meet older ladies that their kids have died or they don't want to be taken care of. So they're just out there in the street collecting cans, and they're content, but they have nowhere to go, and they can't go back to Mexico.
Oh, they lost their job, lost their home,
lost their job, divorced, depression. I met a mom one time in the riverbed in Anaheim, and she had 4 kids with her in a tent, and the oldest kid was like, oh, mean mugging, but he was protected because they didn't want to be separated. And he said, my brother committed suicide. He was 19. My brother committed suicide, and ever since then, my mom never been the same. So since the homeless were going there, she brought us here. They've been going to school every day with like your kids, and nobody knows that after school they're going home to a tent on the riverbed. You know, so there's so many stories, encounters. You go out there and you find out, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. Somebody else told me a story like that where these kids come and we've our church has helped out with providing, working with the school district, providing clothes and shoes.
Oh, cool.
To kids, right?
Yeah.
So we donate every year. We a jacket, and they tell us the sizes and the shoes, you know, and we get the shoes, and we don't know where they go. We just know that there might be 8th grade, and this is the size that this young girl wears or this young boy wears. But man, what a great thing. But the thing that was really shocking to a lot of people in the congregation was that these kids are going home to a car. Mm-hmm. Or a mobile home, you know, or not a mobile home, but
trailer, motel to motel.
Yeah, motels and you know, it's just sad circumstances, and so to know that we're trying to help, but I think we realize like, man, this is bad, and there's a lot of kids out there that are living that way, going to school and then going home to that.
I had a video that one of the families allowed me to document because we were meeting them a lot on Skid Row, and there was a mom who you could tell she was a little unstable, but her son was autistic, and they lived in a tent, but the dad was on one. They were in a shelter, but somebody violated the little boy, so the mom was like, I'm never going to trust my son in a shelter again. So they were there, and their tent lapped over the curb, so when it rained, the gutter water would run through their tent. Ugh. But so they were like they would stock up like crates and stuff, and they would sleep. And the boy was fine, like he had his like little iPad or whatever. So we would go and like try to help them, but they're like they didn't want help. But it was sad because this kid was like 8 years old. Like this is normal, this is life. You know, doesn't know any difference, and he's special needs. And the mom's unstable, and the dad like would be on one. You know, it was terrible. I'm like, dang, dude, like. So I was so compelled, like I will go back, and then what sucked is like the police were impounded a trailer. Somebody donated their trailers to get out of the tent, but the tags weren't due. It was something crazy, and they took their trailers to the back on the streets. Like, yeah, it was like crazy stuff like that, you know.
Man, I appreciate you coming out, man.
Thanks, bro.
And your heart, man, to give back. I think hopefully this will inspire people to support Project Coffee Cup. Buy your art.
Please, man.
And definitely to get out there and start giving back.
If anybody's ever want to get involved, we always have opportunities in LA, Riverside, Santa Ana. You can follow us on Instagram. That's the only social media platform we have. Project Coffee Cup, one word. Or you'll see my artwork on there, Jacob Baruch _artwork. But most importantly, if you would like to give, you can click the link on our bio. If you want to know the dates, follow us on Instagram. Like I said, there's opportunities every week on Wednesday. They're serving in Santa Ana. Every month we're in LA or Riverside.
Dope, man. Man, you're spread out.
Yeah, starting like little fires, bro.
That's 3 counties everywhere.
Yeah, man, just spreading love. It's all.
And people could help out if they want, right? Give or volunteer, whatever they can do, right?
The more hands, the more people we could reach.
Dope, man. I appreciate it, man. You know,
you guys.
Me and Cam do one thing, bro. Before you head out, we do a little thing called the Furious 5 here, man. We ask you 5 furious questions.
Uh-oh.
They're kind of fun. We just definitely
let's do it.
Few questions here, bro. This is a Street Gospel Furious 5 here, man. Let me get my notes out here. I got a couple questions for you. Question number 1 on the Street Gospel Furious 5. Starbucks or Dutch Brothers?
Starbucks.
What?
You want to wait in line for Dutch Brothers?
Dude, it's bomb.
Is it worth waiting in line? I want to be in and out with my coffee.
You know, I can't lie. The longest I waited for Dutch Brothers, 55 minutes one time.
Nah.
55 minutes for 2 Golden Eagles. Those things were good, bro. It was a long wait. And you got to kind of, me and my wife, we just kind of take the phone and we watch a movie while we're waiting for Dutch Brothers.
Yeah, see, you know what I'm saying?
But if there was no line.
Oh, yeah. I would go with Dutch Brothers.
It's legit. And the price is about comparable. It's about the same price, man. But, I mean, Starbucks has this sewn up right now. I'm not going to lie. But if they build a Dutch on the corner right here, it's over. It's over.
It's over. I've been to the one in Eastvale.
I go there, too. I go right up here, man. Second question. What is the most important item you can give a homeless person?
Toilet paper.
Serious?
Yeah, and water.
Yeah?
Man, if you go boo-boo, what are you going to wipe yourself with?
Oof. Never thought about that.
Toilet paper hurts, bro. You tried it? Toilet paper? I mean, you tried newspaper?
I don't think so.
Toilet paper.
Yeah.
Trust me, they'll be like good looking out.
Wow.
If you can't go in, like when COVID happened, they were locking. Bro, you and I would go into 7-Eleven.
You can't.
Oh, you can't use it.
Starbucks.
Let me just use the restroom.
Yeah.
It was blocked off. Let me go in there, wash my hands. So it was a lot of the homeless where they take their bird baths, go in there and like freshen up. Toilet paper.
Wow, man. Okay, that's good. That's good to know.
So if you create a care packet with little snacks, a water bottle, always, because a lot of diabetics out there, high blood pressure. So don't be afraid to hand out water. Throw a toilet paper in there. All
right, question number 3. Good point, man. Question number 3. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, man. Fly.
A fly?
To fly.
To fly.
To
fly.
fly.
I don't say a fly.
No, mosca, bro.
Lenny and Caca, bro. What the heck is that, man?
To fly, bro. Superpower to fly.
I was like, wait a minute. What, you want to be a fly? I was like, what is this?
To fly, bro.
Okay, to fly. I meant a fly. I was like, bro, I don't know.
Didn't somebody on like the Men in Black turn into a fly or was some movie?
I remember that movie, Jeff Goldblum back in the day, The Fly. I mean, it's kind of disgusting, but
to fly. Bro.
To fly. Yeah. I mean, you can get to place to place, right?
I hate the 91 traffic, bro. 91 freeway.
Yeah, man. That's another thing you do, man. You live out here in the IE. Coming from where you live to go out to these spots, man.
Traveling, bro. I'll be doing it, So if y'all want to send me some gas money, bro, we have a big van.
Gas card.
Yeah, gas card.
Right? Question number 4 on the Street Gospel Furious 5. Favorite LA team?
Oh, Lakers.
Lakers all day.
Yeah, Lakers all day. The old Lakers. I don't know about the new team right now. Bro.
Yeah, I've been on a pause with the Lakers for the last couple of years.
Have you ever heard a little kid say, I want to grow up and be a Laker, like when we were Laker fans, younger?
When we were younger, yeah.
No, now.
Oh, now? Not really.
Not really,
They're the Warriors. They want to be a Warrior.
They want to
be a Warrior. But there's no hype no more. I mean, it's Kobe passed, and LeBron's here, but I never thought that he kind of won over the city.
Yeah, no.
I think people don't look at him as a Laker.
No.
Maybe if he...
I think they're LeBron fans.
Yeah.
But not overall, like, I want to be a Laker when I grow up like LeBron.
Yeah. I mean, Snoop had that song. What you want to be? Grow up, be a doctor, a lawyer, football player, a Laker.
I want to be a hustler.
Question number 5 on the Street Gospel. podcast. If you ever stop doing this, what would you do?
Be a stripper.
What? This guy.
Play my way through college.
Bro, don't give that. That's one thing you're not going to be. Nobody's going to support you, bro.
Where's your faith at, brother?
Yeah,
man. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Probably just focus on art. Yeah.
Just art.
Yeah, artwork.
Straight art. Cool, man. Man, I don't know about the stripper part.
Dang, bro. Chicken strips. Chicken strips.
There you go. Everybody's like, yeah, I don't know about that guy now. Operation what? Or Project Coffee Cup?
Project Coffee Cup. No, just kidding, man.
It's all good, man. Hey, thanks for coming out, bro.
No,
Appreciate it.
thank you for having me, man. What a blessing.
I had a great time, man. Thanks for the coffee, too.
You're welcome.
That'll conclude this episode of the Street Gospel Podcast. Support Jacob and Project Coffee Cup. Get out there. Start giving. Whatever you can do to make a difference. But if you want to support an organization that you can literally see online what they actually do, you heard the story here today. Donate, help out. If you can't do it, just go out in your neighborhood, make a little package, give it to somebody out there that needs it. We appreciate you guys. Check us out. Subscribe, share, follow. Check out Jacob, Project Coffee Cup. Check out his art. Buy something.
That's
we
right.
appreciate you guys. We out.
Out.